Should be live. Okay, so this is my second attempt at this. Welcome to Never Mind the Buy Box on 14th of September 2021. This is my second attempt, so I know we're a little bit late, but I thought it wasn't working. It wasn't working to Facebook. I got people on YouTube saying I could see and stuff, but not on Facebook. Turns out I was streaming to the Facebook page, which nobody pays any attention to, not the Facebook group. So fingers crossed. We're working all right now, and you guys can see and hear me in Facebook and the YouTubes. So if you can see me and hear me all right, let me know. I'll be very happy to see it streaming to Facebook. I've just sent a message to StreamYard saying it's not working. It asks you our feedback. How did your stream go? I'm like, didn't stream on Facebook. And it turns out, no, it did stream on Facebook, just not to the group. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for joining me. If you don't know already, this is our weekly show, 7 p.m. here in the Secret Wealth Project, streamed to the Secret Wealth Project Facebook group, and streamed live simultaneously to Nevermind the Buy Box YouTube channel. So usually Nat's on, and she's not able to make it tonight because she's got some kids stuff going on with school and that, so she's going doing that. And at last minute she said, Matt, can you cover for me? And I said, yeah, screw it, let's do it. So I'm covering for her tonight. And even more last minute, I invited our special guest, who I'm going to invite you right now, and that is the Thomas Parkinson.
Hello, welcome for having me. And sorry for welcome from Mexico. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you in Mexico. So we got the times wrong, folks. That do I call you Tom or Thomas? What do you prefer?
Thomas don't really mind.
Okay, so Tom said 2 p.m. That's 2 p.m. Mexico time, and I was like, okay, cool. I didn't check, and then obviously I came to it and I thought he's not here, and I sent him a message a few minutes ago, like just before we were meant to come on with the link, and I was like, he's not here. And then I googled what time is it in Mexico, and it said 1 o'clock, and I'm like, he said 2. So I was like, but anyway, you've run back. Where was you, Tom?
I was a coffee shop down the road, beautiful like co-working coffee shop, just beautiful food. And great coffee. So I thought I'd have like a healthy salad, but I literally said, can you put this in a box? I need to go now. I need to go. And they were like, si, senor. I was like, okay, let's go.
Well, my apologies for the mix-up, and thanks ever so much for jumping on, Tom. This is your first time on Nevermind the Buy Box, isn't it? And
definitely, but I always watch it, so honestly, it's really nice to be part of it. Is
it your first time on a live in Secret Wealth Project as well?
It is, yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I don't think you're a new face to most. I think most people will know the legend that is Thomas Parkinson. Here he is tonight, and we're going to talk all things Amazon. He asked me like, what we're going to talk about, and my reply to him was, let's freestyle. So we have no agenda, we have nothing planned. We're just here filling in for Nat, and we had a few people say, or at least one or two say, get Thomas Parkinson on. So I thought, you know what, I'll reach out and see if he's available, and he's here. So Tom, let's pretend, in fact, we'll say hello to everybody, and then we'll pretend I don't know anything about you, and I'll pretend that like we're meeting for the first time, because some people won't have heard of you or know what you do or anything like that, and we'll deep dive into your story and stuff if you like, and catch people up. Yeah, cool. Right, so let's say hello to some people. If you're here, hit the thumbs up and the love buttons and stuff, because it'll help us get a little bit more distribution. And yeah, say hello in the chat, and I'll shout you out. So, hi Nike or Nike, I don't know how you say it, or Nike, not sure. Watching on YouTube. Hi Islamiat. Yeah, hopefully I got that right as well. A couple of Facebook users. It doesn't tell me because you're not registered with StreamYard. I don't know who you are without opening Facebook. But hi, Facebook users. 2 legends, somebody said. Again, I don't know who that is. Currently sat in a wine bar in Malta, all paid for by the Amazon business that was inspired by the YouTube videos you both made. Cheers. Oh, that's nice. Can you see who wrote that, Tom? Or
I can't. No, it just says Facebook user.
Yeah, it says Facebook user here, so it is what it is. Tom is growing massively on his Amazon business. Yeah, absolutely. And his personal brand and influence as well, but we'll get into that. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Tom, Matt, Brian watching. Nice to see you both here, even and all. Right. Okay. So thanks for joining us. I think a lot of people watch these things on the replay, but let's rock and roll. So, first of all, I'll say to everybody, I've got a bit of a cough still. I'm recovering from COVID.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you got COVID, Tom?
No, I've had it before. We're fine.
Have you had it while you've been in Mexico?
Probably. We're on red here and nothing's shut. It's completely life as normal.
Yeah, I love that. I remember reaching out to you when the first locking down and stuff. I'm like, is everything okay and open in Mexico? And you were like, yeah, but I think you gave me a little warning as to how will people see it if you travel over there and everyone's locked down. And I listened to you, and maybe it was good advice, but I think looking back, I should be there with you. But I've already said to Ollie, look, if the lock us down again, which is not an if, that we are going to get locked down again, I'm heading out. I ain't staying here. So, and I don't care what the community think of me. That's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna put it out there right now. So Tom, anyway, right, enough about me, enough about COVID. If I cough, my apologies, folks. Right. But Tom, start from the beginning. Tell us about yourself. Who's Tom? Where did you come from? Give us a bit of background pre-Amazon stuff.
All right, I'll give you the kind of a brief but the long version, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I'm 35 now. I live in Mexico, but I travel the world. I'd probably say, so I started off born in Southampton, the UK. I studied electronic engineering at university, but never graduated. I just said, I'm out of here, I'm done, I'm not doing this. And that's 3 years after 4 years degree. And then I went into bar management.
Sorry, Tom, you quit after 3 years of
3 years of a 4-year degree.
So you never got it?
No, never did it at all.
Do you regret that? Quitting?
No, not at all. Not at all. What is it?
I quit after a year and a half, and I don't regret it at all.
Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the party. I enjoy partying. Like, all your friends are there for 3 years. You're like, I want to party. But
I see your stories. You're still doing the partying.
My God, so obviously, if you don't know, I do travel the world. I think I've been to like 10 countries in the last year, which is like COVID. Yeah. But life gives you this amazing opportunity, and it's up to us to take advantage of it. So like, I do work online. I do have a remote business. So if, and don't get me wrong, I could sit here in Mexico and just work. And at times I do. And sometimes I'm like, no, Tom, you have to get out and go see some of the country that you're in, because it'll be a nightmare. So, if I come back to that whole point, like, why did I quit? Because I read an article in the BBC which said something like 60%, they surveyed like 5,000 people who are age 40, and they said 60% of them, if they had the choice to go back and change their career, would they do it? And they said yes. And I was like, oh my God, I'd be damned if I can go back to a career I hate.
Only 60%?
Something like that. I don't know the stats. It was, I'm 35 now. It was like 15 years ago. But it was like 60% of people said they would do a different career if they had the choice to change it. And I was like, that's like, more than 1 in 2. That's a lot of people. And I said, I refuse to be the person who in 20 years' time says, I wish I'd done a different career choice. And the kind of saying is like, I know it wasn't Christopher Columbus, but like when they went to the New World, they burnt the ships behind them. Everyone else was like, no, finish the degree, get it done. It's like, if I fall back on my degree, I have failed. I failed at life. And I've got to burn the ship behind me to say, you've got to go forward. There is no choice but forward. And that's kind of like a mantra that I kind of live by a lot of the day. Like, you have to make this happen. There is no choice to go backwards. So,
seeing your lifestyle inspires me.
Thank you.
Because even though I did start young, I quit uni and I run a business and done it for 20 years or whatever. I didn't make the most of the time that I had when I could doing what you're doing. So when I see you and your lifestyle, I'm just a bit like, I don't think jealous is the right word, but like, I think I might look back and go, I mean, I suppose I already do. Why didn't I do more? When I had the freedom and no commitments, why didn't I do more? And I could say that now, really, because I'm still in a similar position whereby I'm low on commitments that would keep me. There's a kid and my dad and a cat, but like in the relative big scheme of things, like we could go away for extended periods of time, so we probably should be. But so would you describe yourself as a digital nomad?
Yes, I would, I try and simplify things. So if I explain what I do, digital nomad is a very good definition. But the term digital nomad is a very broad term. And a lot of people are digital nomad who I've met are people who are probably just quit a job trying to find something to work online and travel the world, just get by. And that's the majority of people. Not saying that they all are, but you do meet a lot of them. They'll be in like Thailand going, how can I survive in Thailand for $600 a month? And you're like, go home. That's it. But but each to their own. It's not my place to say like how people should live their lives or what they should do. I just think from my side is I need to take advantage of the opportunities the world gives me and do the most. So quit university, I went into bar management. I used to run the student union bars in Southampton for 2 years. And then I worked for Vodka Revolution in the UK. And I worked in like Beaconsfield, Cambridge, Loughborough. I've done quite a lot of other sites. I opened up a Revolution to Cuba in Norwich. I opened up the very first Revolution to Cuba as a standalone site in Norwich. And that was as a general manager. That was really cool. We did like £2 million turnover in our first year. I had to like launch a whole bar, 40 staff. I had to budget, write the budgets, and like you have to kind of work out how much money each staff member made, extrapolate it to how many staff you could physically fit behind the bar, and what's the peak hours and the revenue over the time. It's like, oh my god! But I got it, I got it right. I ran it for like a year and 2 years. I did two full years, and then I left that because I was sick and tired of doing 15-hour days on Friday and Saturdays. Like every weekend was working. And then I went to Hollywood Bowl. And that was bowling alleys for a year and a half, and I didn't like that. Was better money, but I wanted more of my weekends back, so I had a bit. I was still working late nights. I was like, man, you can't do this when you're 35 and family. It's just not a viable job. Like, I've got it. Not for me. It's not for me how I didn't see my life, and I think that's really important. How you see your life, and you've got to take action. And then I wanted out of the whole industry. I wanted done. I'm out of this. So like, I can't do hospitality. It's just not a good industry to work in, like long term. I couldn't see myself 45 working in bars. I'd be like, no, it's not what I want to do. So then I realized, like, what don't I know? And I was like, I don't know how to sell. I'd always been operations. I'd always been people management, but I didn't know how to sell. So I went into recruitment. And having gone into recruitment, can you still see me?
Yeah, all good. I can. I don't know if everyone else can, but
you're just flickering. That's why.
Okay, no, it's all good here, I think.
That's fine. So so I went into recruitment, and I went into work for like a recruitment agency in Norwich for like a year and a half, and like I just learned that I really enjoyed sourcing. I was very good at finding like IT professionals, which were really hard to find. I just kind of really enjoyed that, like learning how to do Boolean search in Google, reverse search in Google. And then I wanted out of that. I hated the industry. I hated what the job was. You pick up the phone, call. Minimum 4 hours a day on the phone. You're being timed, tracked, get on the phone more. Hated that. And so I basically I just went out of this. I went home, and my brother-in-law, he used to work in procurement, and he went and worked he used to work in procurement, and he set up his own procurement company. Now, procurement is where you kind of like call up a company and say, hey, what do you need? I need mobile phones. Cool. How many do you need? Like 100. Cool. You then call the suppliers up and say, I need 100 mobile phones. How much? And they'll be like, I don't know, $100 each. And then you add on your margin and then quote the people. And then once they say, yes, we're happy with that quote, they'll give you a purchase order. And then you can convert that purchase order into cash and then actually buy the goods and ship them on. So you kind of don't sell it. You don't buy anything until you've already sold it and you've already got the note to say, I can do it. Which I thought was like incredible. I was like, oh my god! And interesting enough, he started in in the bedroom. So like him and my sister, they lived together, and he started in the bedroom. And he got a £10,000 loan, personal loan, to buy it. They wouldn't let him start a business, but they'd let him buy a car. So he said, I'm buying a car. Put £10,000 down, worked in his business. In his first year, turned over £1 million, just on his own by calling people. African mining sites he did. He really had the contact. So I worked for like 4 days with him, and that was the most quiet, or the quietest 4 days he's ever done in his life. We were like, I just kind of learning the model, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this model is amazing. And then I said to myself, if you can do it in the UK, or should we say, if you can do it in Africa, so African mining sites, you must be able to do the same model in the UK. And then I started looking at like public sector tendering in the UK, learned about that, and then basically I was like, right, why don't you form a company? So I formed a company, and I got like £13 pretty quick. Just started going on all the websites, finding them, and we started tendering for any products. The very first order I tendered for was Leicester City Council's Christmas light bulbs. Sorry, not the very first order we won. £13,000 worth of Christmas light bulbs for Leicester City Council. And the interesting thing is I kind of knew about VAT, but I wasn't very good. But we had to be VAT registered from the beginning to make us look bigger than we really were.
Yeah.
So I kind of added the cost of VAT on. And then something happened whereby we won the order. So we supplied all of Leicester City Council's Christmas light bulbs for their Christmas tree. And we won the order, but then interesting enough, they added VAT on the purchase order on top of what we had already done. So we didn't even have to worry about it because I didn't really understand how the trade worked.
Yeah.
And so we made a clear 30% net margin off that one product, $3,000. It's wow, this is amazing. First order, excited. You literally go to a bank. You can go to there's called invoice factoring, invoice financing. Go to them, show them the purchase order, and they'll convert it. So they'll pay you 80% of the value. So we just got the cash, paid for it, go from there. And interesting enough, that was probably June, July we won that. And then in December, it was all over the news because the Christmas tree fell down. It was all over BBC and how it'd been a palaver and they'd sold them the wrong Christmas tree and everything. And it was oh, they're my light bulbs. That's really fun. So we did all that. And I did that for a year. And we opened up 32 different hospitals, all just through public sector tendering. We kind of hit it on a really sweet spot where, and I say I started with a friend. And after 3-4 months, we worked out that I was doing 93% of the revenue and he was doing 7%. And I was just we can't do this. So we kind of went our own ways. But after a year, I kind of realized I've just built a business, which I hate. I've just built a business with a job. And while, don't get me wrong, that first order we made really good money on. After that, you're probably talking about 10% margins, which might sound quite good in an Amazon business if you can scale it with minimal money down, but it's not very repetitive. Every single time to win an order, you've got to make lots of phone calls, there's lots of legwork. And I just don't like this model. And it's all I'm doing is I can't even go out for lunch because I have to wait for someone to call me. And if I'm outside taking a call, that isn't professional. And we're supposed to be a business professional.
Was there a lot of cold calling? Was there a lot of cold calling involved in that?
Yeah.
So they weren't expecting you. You were just ringing them up trying to generate business, or
kind of. But there's a really weird thing in regards to how public sector tendering works in the UK. We hit a very sweet spot whereby the government had done a big initiative of they're trying to drive SMEs into winning. They're trying to put more business towards SMEs and public sector procurement, so government spending towards SMEs. And the interesting thing that's happened was that the SMEs, should we say, what's it called? They have price isn't the only factor. Price can represent up to 40% of the decision. If you're an SME, you naturally get points, free points. So because we're a tiny one-man band, they're cool, you get loads of points. And so as long as we were near the price, we might win it, even if we're not cheaper than the big boys, because the government wanted public sector money to go to SMEs. And while we're not an SME, we're a micro business. We were classified. So when you learn how it all worked, there's a lot of online portals you could do it all. We just signed up for everything we could do, tendering. Have a look, it's all online.
There must be some people making really good money at it, where they've filled an office filled with young people that aren't paid much and they're just hammering it. Is it you say it, I get the impression you thought that wasn't scalable, but there must be somebody doing that, scaling it, surely.
Oh, it is. My God, public sector procurement's massive, absolutely massive. You hear about it all the time, how cost overruns in procurement goes wrong. And interesting enough, when we were doing it, the film War Dogs came out. It was about two guys who just started selling into the American government guns. And I was we do that, but we do it with the UK government, but not guns.
And not guns,
and we're not as cool. But it was really fun. So you're right. The people can do it. I just looked at the model and I looked at how it operated. And all I could see was that as you grew, you needed more labor, you needed more people to make more calls, to do more things. And I just kind of understood that in order to grow the revenue, you'd have to scale the labor. And the problem came is if you lost the revenue, you'd still incur the labor cost. So as a result, it's a really dangerous game.
If the margins were tight, then yeah, absolutely. You only have to get a couple of deals that don't go well or whatever, or don't quite go your way, and then all of a sudden you're losing money, aren't you? I guess. So that wasn't you. So that wasn't
me. 1 year, quit that, and I moved to London at the same time, actually, with my girlfriend, and then I basically, because we'd done that, we'd opened up wholesalers, suppliers, lots of different things. And then I started looking at, instead of B2B, can I do B2C? I looked at like wholesalers to eBay, and I was like, the fulfillment options are a nightmare, no thanks. And then I learned about Amazon, and I learned about FBA, and I was like, wow, these guys ship it for you, fantastic. And then I found a warehouse who were doing, actually I found a warehouse to do all our procurement, because I was living in a flat in London. There's no way I'm shipping like £60,000 worth of IT equipment from my flat. It's just not going to happen. So really interesting. And then we just got started on Amazon. I got started on Amazon, and we got started doing wholesale, like IT equipment, stationery, which is what the NHS wants. Margins are rubbish. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's absolutely atrocious. 3 months in, I sat in a co-working space in London going, I like the model, but I'm not making enough money. My friend goes to me, well, what sales? What can you make more money on? And we talked about like Christmas is coming up, and can you look at like what sells at Christmas? And I went Lego, and then I found the amazing Tesco Direct back in the day, and just started looking at that. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I started writing I'm like lazy, but I'm super lazy in the fact that I wouldn't manually source. I couldn't be bothered. Once I figured out the model, I was like, can I just create a scraper? Can I do it all? And then just started buying Lego, started doing that. And I won't deny, like the first 2 years were really tough, like really tough. I hired VAs, I increased massive cost loads. I traveled the world. I went and got very drunk in Thailand for 5 months. And woke up one day and I thought my business was going to fail. And I just said, I can't have that. I refuse to allow that to happen.
Was this when you were doing wholesale via FBA?
No, so we did wholesale, and then I moved into like OA. I was still in London with that.
Oh, so this. Well, I'm trying to put the. Sorry.
So I'm in Norwich. I do a procurement company.
Yeah.
I moved to London, continue the procurement company. I don't like doing the procurement company. I stop it. I moved then into wholesale. Amazon for like 3 months, doesn't work, don't like it. Then I moved into OA in London. That I kind of like, wow, this is actually kind of much better margin, better profitability. It sells, the volumes are insane. Also, you didn't really learn about not competing against Amazon in like the IT stationery. Good luck. Like you're just competing against Amazon, against everything. And then, so I'm in London, I'm doing OA, I'm selling Lego. I think I have 1 VA at the time. I think I have 2 actually, maybe 2 or 3. Yeah, 2 or 3. And my girlfriend of 6 years at the time, she says to me, she's finishing a degree. She's getting a doctorate in educational psychology. So we always knew we were going to leave London and go somewhere else. Hence why I created the whole business online, because we were going to leave London. So I couldn't have a warehouse. And she said, hey, Tom, like when I finish my doctorate, what are you going to do with your job? I was like, or what are you going to do with your work? I was like, how do you mean? She's like, are you going to like work less hours? I'd like to have the evenings together and the weekends. And I was like, I don't understand. She's like, I want a normal life. And I was like, and I was like, don't get me wrong, I'm not profitable. I'm not making good money. I spend every penny I can on everything to reinvest it back in the business. But I love this, what I'm doing, and I can see the potential, I can see the opportunity, and to go back to a business could be like the failure for me. So I just said, like, I have to. We had a conversation, like really honest. And I said, look, if I cut my business down to 9 hours a day or for 8 hours a day, do what you want, I'm going to hate you because my business is slowing down, and I'm going to resent you for it. We had a very adult conversation. But I said also, on the other hand, if I work what I want to do and grow my business where I want to grow it, you're going to hate me because that isn't the life that you want. And we had a really good like heart-to-heart conversation. We've been together like 6 years, but we realized that we're going in different directions. And it was a really like turning point. But also as well, at the same time, my friend said to me, he was like, mate, if I was you, I'd just go to Thailand. Just go to Thailand for a month, get out, do it. And he showed me a live webcam of the beach in Thailand. And literally that day I booked the flight for a month's time. And then I flew out to Thailand.
Which beach was it?
That was, oh my God.
Or where was it?
Where is it Koh Samui, where they do the, what do you call it, the full moon parties?
Not Koh Phangan, is it?
Yes, in Koh Phangan. That's it, yeah, Koh Phangan.
I thought you saw the beach there and was like, right, I'm going.
I was like, like you see all these pictures, and I remember it when I was in recruitment. My boss said to me, it was like, Tom, what you need to do is you need to get an A4 bit of paper and put your ideal car, your ideal house, your ideal beach, and your ideal holiday and something else. And then when you pick up that phone, that picture is going to remind you why you're working so hard.
1 second. It's funny you should say that. 1 second. I'm still here if you can hear me.
That's got the picture.
Yeah, this is my newest one.
Oh my God. But hey, like I big respect to you. You've had the cars, the holidays. My thing about it in that respect was like, I don't get this. Like, I don't understand why I have to do this to get that.
Yeah.
Like, I see a different way.
Yeah.
I don't see this is the way. And I'm not saying it's wrong. My God, if you want to have a job, fantastic, cool. Or sales jobs. My God, people make really good money in sales. But for me, it just wasn't what I liked. And I thought that was like insanity. And I was like, I don't want to go on holiday to that beach. I want to live on that beach. Like, I want that all the time. So we went to like a month later, I left, separated with my girlfriend at the time. I kept paying the rent to let her finish her doctorate. And then I flew to, what's it called? Bangkok, like a week in Bangkok, 2 weeks in Phuket, a week in Phuket. And then I went up to Chiang Mai, northern Thailand. And if you've never been, obviously COVID right now, but do go to Chiang Mai. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, I went last year.
Yeah, I saw your video.
Yeah, Chiang Mai's great. Oh, you're talking to everyone else. Yeah. I'm thinking you're talking to me. I'm just talking to you guys watching. Yeah, Thailand's great. Go on, sorry, carry on.
I loved it. And I was like, great digital nomad community, great quality of life. Like, there were like 30 odd vegan restaurants. Like,
are you vegan?
Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I only say that to give you an idea of the variety of food and how well they cater for like Western culture. Obviously, there's a lot of Thai food if you want as well. It's like 1 million people in out of Chiang Mai. But lovely weather, lovely temperature, really nice, great vibe, super cheap. And I just called up my sister and said, "Hey, Claire, I'm not coming home." She's like, "Okay, cool. When are you coming home?" I was like, "No, I'm not coming home ever. Like ever. This is it." And that was like the decision where it started the whole traveling, like digital nomad lifestyle. But I won't lie, I kind of enjoyed the party lifestyle a bit too much. 5 months of getting very, very drunk in Chiang Mai.
So Tom, before you continue, I've got a question for you related to this. As far as I'm aware, you are running a UK limited company. Is that right? But you're living in wherever and all over the place. So some people might wonder, is there any tax advantages to you doing what you do? And if not, maybe you could look at a more tax advantageous way of doing what you do. Do you know, is any of what you do, do you get any tax advantages from doing that? Because my understanding is if you don't live in this country, then the rules are very different to if you do live in this country, but you've got a UK limited company. So I don't know if that changes things.
You can, like, I'm looking into, interesting enough, I'm going for dinner tonight with a guy who pays like zero tax. He's a UK national. And not because I'm going with him, but I'm just interested to learn about what he does. Yeah. But if you want to know, I have 2 UK limited companies and 1 US LLC. But technically I'm a UK taxpayer, I'm a UK resident. While I'm not in the UK, I've not relinquished my residency and my nationality, my status. A couple of reasons why is the availability of credit is quite important on having, it just makes getting debt a lot easier if you're a UK citizen. So if you're going to while your business is getting credit, they just ask you questions like, are you a UK citizen? Yeah, cool, you pass very simply. Whereas when you start getting external, there's other things. There are tax advantages, but I think so long as you're the tax situation is not too bad. And generally, my cost of living out here is nothing, absolutely nothing. I pay myself $1,500 a month. That's it. And, admittedly, sometimes I put the cost through the businesses, but it's, if you live in Chiang Mai, my God, $1,500 a month. Oh, you'd struggle to spend it.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is all airfares, and I don't really have that cost. So yeah, it's
the airfares presumably you can claim back on the business, can't you? Because you're making content related to.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages to running a YouTube video, and also you can buy drones as well. I really love my drones. I'm getting into them. I just bought my second one, but yeah, so. I do believe, but I think also as well, I'm very grateful for what the UK has. When you travel, you meet a lot of other people from other countries, and when you talk about their business, how businesses operate. Like in Mexico right now, you can open a business as a foreign national, but you can't get a tax ID as a foreign national right now. So they've effectively stopped businesses being open for foreign nationals during COVID. And even in America, if you want to get an EIN number, they're saying 3-month wait. If you're a foreign national or an alien, it's just but the UK is super fast, very efficient. So, I think there's pros and cons. So,
I mean, I don't want to make it all about tax, but I would have thought one of the biggest benefits of doing what you do is that with the right tax planning, you could basically reduce your tax bill to almost nothing across the board. Because you could have a corporate, you could have a limited company, or not a limited company. You could have a similar thing to a limited company based somewhere else like the Cayman Islands or somewhere. I mean, I'm no expert on this stuff. If anyone's watching this thinking Matt knows all this stuff inside and out, I don't. It's just that, obviously as an entrepreneurial healthy interest in this kind of international lifestyle, but surely you could register your company somewhere where there's no corporation tax. There's tax-free zones in Dubai, for example. And then I don't know, depending on where you're classed as resident or citizen, you might be able to get rid of your income tax and everything and pay very little. Maybe you're not interested in that, but
no, I am. I've read a lot of the Rich Dad Poor Dad videos or books. I played the board games. If you ever get a chance, I love the cash flow board games. Do play them. The one
last time I looked, it was 130 quid or something for the game.
Buy it.
Really?
I literally used to get on a train for an hour every weekend to go play it in London.
Is it good?
It's okay. It's the board game itself is okay. It's not about that. It's about how you manage money. And Matt, obviously you're a smart guy, and how you manage money now is very different to how you managed it 10, 20 years ago.
Well, 20 years ago, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it changed the way I looked at assets and liabilities. So absolutely. Exactly.
And we had in our Amazon business, I had a £121,000 loan, and then on top of that, we just had another reloan of 130. A lot of people are like, I couldn't ever imagine taking that amount of debt, and I really understand that. But for me, I don't look at that 121, 130 and be like, oh my God, I can't sleep at night. No, I look at that in a very different way, and I understand the risk and how we manage that risk. And
Kiyosaki would call it good debt, wouldn't he? He'd call that good debt. If you're making money from the debt, that's good debt. If you're a consumer and you're buying a Ferrari that you're going to drive around in, you're not going to rent it out, or you're not going to use it for weddings, you're just going to drive it yourself, that's bad debt. And that's what Kiyosaki preaches, isn't it? And that's what you're talking about, really.
Yeah, and I think just how you manage money and what you do, and my God, right now in the UK, probably for the last 3 months, we've done over £200,000 a month in Amazon. Nice. And we've got across 3 companies, we've got over 50 VAs. And my mindset 2 years ago, and that volume, how we manage teams, what we do, just wasn't there. And I'm not saying the board game helped me, but there are times even now, I went and played the board game the other day in Mexico, a week ago. And the whole point of the board game is to get out the rat race, which is called your job. And we got out in 15 minutes. And it's supposed to take 4 hours before you might be able to get out. And I was playing with someone else who knew how to play it, and we just knew, and we just bang, 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 bang. And the other people who had never played it before were watching us and we cannot believe how quick you've done that. And it's the same thing for you. Is you just learn things, and we all kind of believe it takes money to make money. And yeah, it does to a certain extent, but it doesn't always.
Yeah.
And you don't need money to make money. You can be a deal creator, and these board games that she played, that one, a Millionaire Maker, I played them religiously, and I used to host the games. fantastic. They just changed my whole mindset about everything. So if you ever get a chance to
million, I'm going to write that down. Millionaire Maker. What's that? Who's that? Is that another
so
rich?
That's another. No, it isn't. It's another lady. So Cash Flow, Rich Dad Poor Dad created a board game called Cash Flow, and that is about getting out the 9-to-5 rat race. The moment you're out of the 9-to-5 rat race, it gets a bit boring. The other one, Millionaire Maker, is now you're about investing in real estate, property, and what you learn is about the compounding effect of cash, and how you don't really care about having cash in the bank. Cash in the bank is actually quite a bad thing. It's cash flow, which is what you want. And the interesting is like how you internalize those problems, and also how you do deal analysis. Like we do it all day long in in Amazon. Buy this product, sell this product. How much am we going to make? We're doing deal analysis. But if you could do that on other things, like even when I looked at creating Amazon USA, my God, I was like, right, start it, hire 5 VAs, make it happen. We're running at a loss for months. But the idea is this isn't about now. It's a massive investment for where we'll be next year. Like we'll do $1 million next year. We're like, that's the goal. Yeah. So different interpretations, and a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. And I'm not saying that people who do it much better than me, of course. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but it's just about how I internalize these problems and create these solutions.
So I've not played the Cash Flow board game or this Millionaire Maker. I need to have a look now. You've recommended them. I already knew I already wanted Cash Flow, but I thought it was going to be like 25 quid, 35 quid, maybe 50, not 130 or whatever. It's like I only wanted it so I could play it with my 11-year-old daughter. But yeah, now you've said I'll have a look at that. But let me guess, the way to get out of the rat race is to increase your passive income earned from your investments to more than your active income earned from your job. Is that basically what the concept of the game? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think leading on from what you said about the money in the bank thing, I find having cash in the bank quite stressful, which is weird because you taught from traditional means like your mum and dad and your schooling and stuff, save your money, and it's like saving's awful, saving's the worst thing ever, and having cash in the bank, and I've got a strong cash position right now, is not good because it stresses you when inflation's sky high and usually it'd be decaying at 3% a year, but right now it could be 8%, 9%, 10%. So next year £1 million now is only got the spending power of like 900 grand or something. Then the year after 800 grand or whatever ish. And that stresses me out. And when I'm buying properties or buying stuff that cash flows, it eases me. And I need a new car. My lease on my car is running out next month, and I have no car coming. I have no car on order. They can take 6 months to come. I've got no car, and it's stressing me out at the thought that I might have to buy one cash. So I'm like, well, I could buy a house, and then that can pay the payments for the car. And it's like so it was Kiyosaki probably, and I've met him. He's a bit of a not a massive fan of his, but like he did instill that stuff into me, so I can be thankful to that.
Yeah, he's done a very good job at just simplifying the whole money mantra and giving some good guiding principles.
Yeah,
I definitely respect him for that. I don't really follow him. I'm not. It seems a lot of like promotion. What he does.
Yeah.
I value him for what I've learned, and again, we all live our own journeys in life. My God, you do Amazon my way, you can do it a different way. It doesn't matter. There's a million one ways to play the game of life and slice the Amazon apple.
Absolutely. So you told us your rough story up until that point. When did you get into the OA game?
4 years ago, I think.
4 years ago.
I think it's 4 years ago.
And obviously, since then, you've set up a virtual assistant. What would you call it? A virtual assistant recruitment agency, or what would you call it?
Yeah, I think so we started Fast Track FBA. I always say we. It's always we. I learned that in bowling alleys. We're a team. We, never I.
Yeah.
We started, I think about 2.5 years ago. And then about 18 months ago, January last year, not this year, people were asking me like, hey, Tom, you've got a team. Any chance you could train some up for me? And I was like, no. And then eventually like, okay, cool. So we started I did a couple of test runs, like just created like, how would I want them trained? How would I make it work operationally? Yeah. And we started doing like a couple of VAs. And for the last 18 months, we've been training VAs up for we literally do one type, online arbitrage VA, so US and UK, it's the same model, manual sourcing, that's it. And we teach all the tools, teach BuyBot Pro. A lot of VAs love that, absolutely love it. I always see it on the internal Skype chat. But I think over the last, I think I had a look this morning on Skype. It's about 250, 260 people in that group. So that's like VAs that we've placed with other clients. And We've got a private Facebook group, so like 130 clients, I think.
Yeah.
So kind of like 2-to-1 ratio, 2 VAs for each client, roughly.
Well, I tell you something. Out of everybody in this game that's done the VA like recruitment stuff, your reputation for doing that is immaculate. And if anybody's watching this and thinking about getting a VA for online arbitrage, you will not go far wrong going to Thomas, because honestly, you hear about reputations, and a lot of the time people are just slagging people off just because they don't like them for whatever reason. But Tom's reputation is immaculate. So you're doing something right there. So when you say you've got two clients to each VA, what's the deal then? That you recruit somebody as a VA and then they share it? They're just two of them share it? Or
no, what I mean, we've got like 130 clients for about 260 VAs.
Oh, so each of them have had two VAs each. Okay, roughly. So they get their own VA, but some might have had 5, some might have had 1, but it averages out to about 2.
Yeah, so it kind of works out like generally, and I say thank you, and I will not lie, Matt, you know this, you talk about VAs, you've done so many videos of VAs. They're like, get it right, your business is amazing. Get it wrong, your business goes down the pot. But it is the hardest part of the business, people. Because they could be amazing for 3 months, and then after that they go down the hill. And it is so hard. But from our clients' perspective, generally what we see is they'll hire one. Everyone's like on the fence: do I hire one? And I really understand it's a big commitment. You've got to pay like £380 a month. You've got to pay our fee as well. And then the idea is that you get this, and then, oh my God, they're not like 10 deals a day. It takes 3 months to get them where they are. So it's a time investment. So there's an upfront barrier, but the moment they start seeing like the effect a VA has, they're like, oh my God. And then they come back and buy another one. But, I think the most we've ever had is like one client, we got 6 or 7, I think. Yeah,
nice. Do you charge a one-off fee, or is it monthly fee, or what?
Just one-off fee. Yeah, one-off set fee. And, there's a lot of included in that with 12-week support. And you have the refund policy. And,
awesome.
This is a big part of it is about, my God, you can have the best VA in the world, but as a client, if you don't know how to manage people, you'll lose them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think believe it or not, you might not even know this, Tom, but and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or make this about me or anything like that, but I brought Filipino VAs to the UK OA market. I brought it in with my first ever course in this space called Advanced Arbitrage, and it was a training. I don't know if you remember this or know about it, but it was a training course that you gave to VAs. And it trained them in becoming a VA for OA. Yeah. And I can be confident it was me, because I remember the industry and nobody had VAs back then, at least in the UK. Maybe they did in the US, I don't know. But I learned recruiting VAs from the Philippines from John Jonas back in the mid-2000s. And I've still got a VA that I recruited back then. But when I came into this OA game, I was like what I learned there could be applied very easily to this. So I literally put together a training course, and the idea was I taught them how to recruit the VA in the usual places that you'll know, and then I gave them the training to give to the VA to then get them trained up, and it went really well. But now everybody uses VAs, and you're literally the backbone, cornerstone thing of VAs in this industry now. So as much as I brought the education and stuff and introduced the concept to the UK many, many years ago, like I say, it was my first ever course in this niche. You've executed on it better than anybody else I've seen so far. I've not seen anybody else, including myself, even though I've been doing it since the mid-2000s. What you clearly do is next level. So hats off to you. You're doing a really good job of that. But yeah, it is hard. It is hard. And my business partner, Karen, she had a VA recruitment agency in this niche, maybe before you was, again, aware of it and stuff. So like Karen actually recruited VAs like probably before you started selling on Amazon. I don't know, but she found it that kind of like not headachy or difficult, but so many bumps in the road that she decided it probably wasn't for her. So like she was doing this years ago, but the difference is like you're still doing it. Do you know what I mean? So we've got a ton of VAs in our business. We've got loads, but we use them internally. We don't recruit them or anything like that. But no, honestly, hats off to you. I think you've systemized it so well that you've now basically got a factory of VAs. People want a VA, they get one. And what I'm interested in is, Tom, and I know the answer to this, is how much involvement you personally have when somebody wants a VA. So when somebody says, I want a manual sourcing VA, and they come to you, how much involvement do you have in that process?
I only have involvement in regards to really big problems, which is like next to none. So,
which is amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if I kind of talk you through the process, so like you talk about a thing, and then you kind of understand. So like, okay, so the only bit of involvement I'm having right now is I'm actually doing Facebook Lives in Filipino Facebook groups, because we're looking for. If I give you a ratio, we have 200 applicants apply for every one VA who we hire. That's how many we filter down to. It's like crazy, and I'm not talking like we're doing a lot. You can see we've done 260 odd VAs. There's a lot. So the concept is we pay for a lot of job boards, not just online jobs. We do a lot. We do customized Facebook advertising. We do Google adverts. I'm doing lives in Facebook groups. We do so much to try and talent acquisition.
Do you advertise in Tagalog, or do you advertise in English, or how's that work?
All in English, because they need to speak English for our clients.
Yeah,
it can't be Filipino only or Tagalog. Yeah. So they apply, and then they do like we've got recruitment software which filters down a bit. We've got custom written software which then filters down even more, and then we go through to a CV review by one recruiter. Then they'll go into an interview with that recruiter. Then they'll go to a second interview with another recruiter. We've just hired a third full-time recruiter now because we need to do the volume. And then only once there, we create all the contracts, we do everything, and then you start the training, and then you go through like online course, one-to-one training, group sessions, deal reviews. Like, my God, have you ever tried like doing deal review of like 10 VAs every single day? It's just like, just want to shoot yourself. Like, I don't do it, but my team are amazing. It's like, they're absolutely amazing, and I really feel for them, like non-stop. So they do that, and then what do we do is, and then that's once they're signed off, and then you've got 12 weeks of aftercare. As in, like, any problems, you just drop us a Facebook message, and my team, we are a whole dedicated team who just deal with the aftercare. And then if you want to deal to my aftercare manager, she will, you have a one-to-one call with her, and that's a different person from the recruitment person. And then we've also got a senior HR manager who is an ex-business partner from Pepsi Cola, who kind of helps oversee the thing. And then you've got an operations manager above that who kind of manages the numbers. And then my job is to manage that. So I don't get involved, but we have a lot of internal metrics that we look at, which are like NPS, customer complaints. The only thing that I really do get involved in is the weekly coaching calls, and I do monitor the numbers. Is the fact that I said this earlier, it's about not only finding great VAs, it's about training, educating, and supporting our clients to be able to manage them in the best way. And Matt, you know this, there is a massive culture difference between us. That's, yes, sir, anything you say, sir. You want me to go to the moon, sir? Of course, sir, I'll do that, sir. Like, why haven't you gone to the moon? I will, sir, I'll do it now, sir. My job in all of the process is, number one, to ensure it runs efficiently and everyone has a good experience, but also as well is to make sure that where does my value come in? My value comes into speaking to other Amazon sellers and sharing how I do it, what I see, and that's about active listening and feeding back, and so that's why we do the weekly calls. It's a live weekly private group call, and we have them every week, just talking about what's your problem? How would I recommend it? And you know, Matt, with VAs, it's not like say something today and tomorrow you get the result. No, it's weeks, months, but it's constant effort in the right direction. And when you do it right, my God, the results are amazing. And, you know, and I put it out there now, my Amazon business right now, 200,000 for the last 3 months, pretty much consistently 2:1, 2:10, 2:20. I run that on an hour and a half a week. And it could be less. And the only reason I have an hour is because I have 3 admin VAs and they tell me where to move the money. And then we have like half an hour of that. And then we have a chit chat for half an hour because that's the only time I see them. So, and I don't say that to brag. I say that because when you understand your team, when you work well and they know what they're doing and they're motivated and it's running smoothly, you can run it on that little. But the other thing I'll say is when I have those chit chats, I'm listening a lot about like family problems. How are you getting on? Are you not engaging as much? And if there's problems, my God, I will drop everything and spend 20 hours with them if I need to that week.
Yeah. Well, I didn't ask the question saying how much do you get involved, as in it's a bad thing.
I agree.
I'm impressed that you've created this machine that's a proper business. What you've got is a proper business. I think when people try and be a solopreneur and do everything themselves, they don't realize they're just exchanging a secure job or a secure income, if you like, or relatively secure one for a less secure, bumpy income working for themselves. It's like if you're not going to run it like a proper business and actually, you know, get a team, build a team and build systems and get software and stuff to help you, then you're always just going to be, you're not a solopreneur, you are just working for yourself kind of thing. And I think not many people get to the stage where you're at, and it's quite impressive when you're there. So you basically don't do that much for your OA business anymore because you don't have to, because you built it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that much for your VA recruitment because you've built it. That's hugely impressive. Obviously, you've got the deal service whereby your VAs source some deals. What other stuff do you do, or is that everything? Is that, Tom, in a nutshell?
I think, look, the way I approach all the businesses is that first things first, understand who you are as an individual. And I understand that I'm an ideas guy. I love problems. If once I can solve a problem in my head, I'm so happy, but then I've given up. I don't care. I know that problem, that's fine, move on. But if I can surround myself with execution people, fantastic. But also I'm inherently lazy and I need a lot of variety in my life. Hence why I have a few kind of different businesses and I try and like travel because I really like that variety and I do different things. So I won't lie, I spend a lot of time on Fast Track FBA. Like most of my time is spent on that. And what do I do? The way I approach it is, you know the saying, are you working in your business or on your business?
Yeah.
And for me is like this business, like right now we've got Amazon UK, Amazon USA, so 2 businesses. Yeah. And we've got Fast Track FBA, and I have an ops manager for Fast Track FBA, 35 VAs. And then the other ones are like, I don't know, 9 or something, 5. I really don't know the numbers. And I've got another ops manager who runs those 2, and the purchasing managers report to the ops manager. So he's just started. He's really cool. And these are amazing people. Like this guy is the head of the biggest shopping mall in the Philippines, and he was directly asked by the owner of the shopping mall to go open another shopping mall in China. You know, like it's insane. He's the senior ops manager. Now he works for me, so I feel blessed. But the way I look at it is I've got these great people, they execute, they deliver, and my job is to be a consultant.
Yeah.
I literally listen, where's the problems, you know, what the customer's complaining about, where can we add value, what can we do, and now I'm going to jump in there. So a lot of what I want to see is reporting. And how do I mean about that? So in my and if I put it in a very easy terms, like in my Amazon business, we have a spreadsheet which is like 4 or 5 different tabs, and it talks about spend, revenue, buy box percentages, and other bits. And then another one talks about my inventory, where we're at with that, health, you know, Amazon Health, and then we do something else like the VA performance. And my purchasing manager will just take 15 minutes every week to walk me. It's already filled out. He does it all, and he walks me through. And my job is just to sit there and listen and do that. But that spreadsheet has probably taken a year to build. And And the idea behind it is I need to know exactly where my business is. I need to know where we need to improve, how we can get better in about 15 minutes a week. And if I can see that level of detail in a very clearly defined picture, then everyone in the business knows exactly what they're doing, and then we can pick areas to work on. So a lot of my time is spent on reporting, a lot of time trying to understand what's really working. I'm a really big believer in, especially the entrepreneur work, like you see it all the time, just work, grind. And I'm like, be very careful about grinding. You know, like you grind in the right way, but be very strategic in the directions that you choose. So like if you're going to go into wholesale, if you're going to go into like bundles or something, but don't, you know, and I see it so often, like everyone's like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And interesting, I'll share it with you. I was watching your or Natalie's Nevermind the Buy Box with Mark, the 8-figure seller. And he talked about, I think it was about Europe, and he talked about like how he wasn't going into Europe. He's still doing 8 figures in the UK, and he's like, there's so much opportunity. And I was thinking about going, should we start in America? And I was like, and I heard that, and I was like, you know what, you're damn right. You're damn right. There's so much opportunity here. And you look at Amazon. Amazon in the UK is like billions, and I'm doing like what? I've done a million so far this year. Like I'm just nothing. The scale of this thing is, and when we spread ourselves too thin, we're a jack of all trades, master of none. And we know it in the Amazon game. And Matt, you've been there. If you do small volume in Amazon, it's really tough. It's a lot of legwork. But if you can scale and get teams and do that, that's where the power comes in. Yes, your margin drops, but you know it's the ability to grow. So for me, it's about very strategically thinking. And so in my businesses and what I do is about really just being very mindful of listening to my staff. What do they need? Because and you know, like you talked about it, the VA Academy. Again, I'm not here to do the job. And I said to them, I'm not here to work. I'm here to help you. You do the job. Yeah, and that is my mindset.
Absolutely. Lazy. No, I don't think you are lazy. You keep saying this lazy thing. You're one of the hardest workers in the game. That's my opinion of it. You're one of the hardest workers in the game. But I think if it was a McDonald's, you just ain't frying the chips. You ain't frying the fries. That's all. But you're still working hard. But it might be on decisions. It might be on problem solving. It might be on bigger picture stuff and setting up a new McDonald's. And you know, even if you don't lay a brick or fry a chip, you're still working hard. And I think it's transitioning from that solopreneur where you have to do everything yourself into something more than that. And you've just happened to build scale into in a big way with predominantly Filipino VAs, aren't they? Have you got any
100% Filipino.
100% Filipino. That's amazing. That's mind blowing to a lot of people, because I think a lot of people will see it as like for us, we've probably got, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 UK based staff now. And they're obviously on UK based wages and they ain't cheap, you know, whereas, and we've got probably, we've got people all over Serbia, Africa, Turkey, Ukraine, Philippines. We've got them all over and varying costs. But you've built this entire business on what we would look at as and say, I'm not going to say that they're very capable if you get the right ones. But your typical VA, probably your expectations need to be a lot lower than your typical, say, UK-based staff in a lot of ways.
Maybe, but my God.
Exactly. But you make me wonder if we've got it right. It's like we wouldn't even dream of recruiting a coder in the Philippines. But maybe we've got that wrong. Maybe we've got that wrong. Maybe there's amazing coders in the Philippines. I don't know. That's not selling the Philippines short or anything like that. Like I say, we've probably got 20 people in the Philippines or something like that. I don't know. But we tend to recruit for the lower end, more monotonous tasks that are a little bit more easier to pick up, maybe a little bit more boring. And I don't know if that's because Brits are lazier and we're a bit lazy and we don't want to do them, or we moan more or something. I don't know. But no, it's interesting for me to see you do that at that scale in the Philippines. It's really impressive.
It's a really interesting point, and I really understand what you're saying, and I hear it a lot.
I'm trying not to be offensive.
No. I really understand it. and I want to kind of just give you a kind of thought process behind it, because whether it be Filipinos or maybe like Amazon arbitrage or anything, we all have these preconceptions, and whether it be like Filipinos can't do it, or like, oh my God, you can't do Amazon arbitrage, it's too saturated now, or like wholesale, the margins are worse, or private label doesn't work anymore, Amazon's too risky, etc., etc. We all have these preconceptions. Why? Because we just absorb information from around us. But the interesting thing is I always approach that question, or that first of all, identify that you have a preconception of, or a pre-existing idea of what it is, and then number two is just go prove it, prove that it's right. And my question I asked to like my team and other people, exactly the same. It's like, out of, I don't know how many people there are, 100 million in the Philippines, for example. Like, are you telling me that there are zero, good people? And you couldn't ever say there aren't. You couldn't. There are going to be better people. So then my next question comes is, okay, well, if we've already ascertained that there are good people there, then the next question is, let's see if we can find them.
How do we find them? Yeah. Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah. And the question comes is, and I know you're not saying they're junior and they can't do good jobs. Of course not. I'm not saying that at all. But I really understand it. A lot of Western society does look at maybe the Philippines and goes, actually, they're not good. Like they're the junior guys, like the call centers. And I'm like, and I just kind of go, first of all, I think that's a preconceived idea. But then just think about it realistically. You're generally saying 100 million people, none of them can do anything other than call centers. And you're like, no. And then what's the GDP? My God, they do like billions, trillions a year. I don't really know. But they must be doing more than call centers. So
I had one employee. I had one employee back in the day. I think her name was Alessa or something like that. She was excellent at design, web design. She was an excellent writer, excellent copywriter, excellent text writer, and I think she only stayed with me something like 3 months. But that's proof right there that there are good people. And I suppose finding them is one of the things. When I first started teaching recruiting Filipino VAs for the OA market in the UK, when I first started teaching that, the website that I sent everybody to, that website now is not the right place to recruit from. I mean, maybe you'll go, no.
What website's that?
Onlinejobs.ph, is it? Yeah. I think that website is owned by the guy that taught me how to recruit, John Jonas. I think that's his website. But in our experience, recruiting OA VAs from that website now gets you into little circles of, for want of a better word, gangsterism. Like that. What people don't realize is there is a lot of shenanigans going on in the Philippines, and I think it's because they've been exposed to so much of this stuff. So for you to say you recruit outside of that is quite refreshing, and might be why you're getting such great results. Because I think what you'll see is a VA that will make out they're working for you, and in reality they're working for 5 of you. So they're actually earning like a doctor over here. And you're thinking that you've got this hardworking VA, they're finding new deals. And in reality, they've got 10 clients and you don't know about each other. And it's only like down the line by things happening that you end up finding that out. And then they get friends involved. And then all of a sudden, they've got 5 people that they helped you recruit. But then are they the same people? And I never saw that. Back in the mid-2000s, you would never see any behavior like that. And now it's rife. It's rife within certain circles. It's rife. So I mean, I'm your biggest cheerleader when it comes to recruiting VAs, because I think you do it right. I think you do it systemizably well. And I'm not being paid anything for this. I'm probably going to pick you up 10 clients tonight, like over the next few weeks. Trust me, guys. I'm not trying to blow smoke or promote anything. I'm not getting paid. I genuinely just, with admiration, see what Tom's done and realize how difficult it is to do it. And if you try and do it on your own, you're probably not going to get as good results as if you had someone like Tom do it for you. So yeah, cool. I mean, this is already a long live, Tom. I never intended on it going the way it's gone.
I know you've talked about Amazon.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked a bit about Amazon. We talked a bit about VAs. We've not talked about conspiracy theories or anything like that. So that's a good thing for me. But before we wrap it up, because obviously I realise that your time is precious and people don't want to be staring at us forever. Is there anything else you want to chat about, or you want to talk about, or you want to mention?
If people want to ask me questions, I'll answer them.
Yeah, okay. So we'll go to the chat. If you've got any questions for Tom, chuck them in the chat. But basically, Tom's doing 200 grand a month, doing OA on Amazon with a pretty much fully outsourced business. He's mastered the art of finding and training VAs. So if you can't learn some stuff from Tom, then I don't know who you're going to learn it from, to be frank. But this doesn't have to be the only time you'll be on, Tom. I'm sure you'll be on again if you're up for it, because I know Natalie's really chomping at the bit to get you on. I know we've chatted recently, and she didn't directly say, "Can Tom come on?" But she's hinted at it, and so we could always have a follow-up call as well if you fancy it.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to. And obviously now that I know the right time, I can obviously get it right.
Yes, yeah, come at 2, not 1. Right, so let's see what chats we've got. Let's see. Tom will never work for a boss again. That was from earlier. Absolutely. Tax are going up in April next year. Don't get me started, lol. I don't know who said that. A Facebook user. That's all we see, you see. But yeah, absolutely. There's never been a more reason to optimize stuff than now. Can you see anything that jumps out, Tom? Is there any questions that anybody's asked?
Questions down the bottom.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Do you have a launch date for your admin VAs?
It's still in process. We're looking to go into beta in about 2 months' time. But I would just, same as you, Matt. You've recently just launched Sunfully, and like that's been delayed. It's it's about quality first. It isn't about getting it out. So get it right. And, so that's the thing. So 2 months. Not going to hold my breath. Yeah,
I think it's a fine balance, isn't it? You want to get it right, but at the same time, you're never going to get perfect. So it's getting that balance between when's the right time to launch your MVP, minimum viable product, and maybe you're already there, but you just want to tweak a little bit more. But you can guarantee it'll be a good service when it comes out. So
I hope so.
Yeah, no pressure. I'm sure it will. This, I don't know who's saying that, but my third VA is on the way. Cheers, Tom. Looking forward to you starting admin VA as well. Oh, that's the same thing.
Got how many ASINs do you have?
I'm not getting VA. I got from Tom creating all my listings on Amazon now too. Been 18 months since he's still here with me. That's good to hear.
Well done for doing so well. I'm not saying they leave after 1 year, not at all, but 18 months is good. And it's like Matt, you said you've got VAs from when you first started. They're still with you, which is amazing.
I've got one. Yeah, we've got one from. I think it was around 2007. But I asked him the other day, and he said 7 years, but it's definitely not 7 years because he was basically running all of my old businesses when I was running my nightclub, and I was doing nothing on my businesses. So he was just answering emails and doing support and all that stuff. So, yeah, he's been with me a very long time. I would say 13, 14 years maybe.
My God, well done. Hey, it takes hard work and dedication, but get the right ones and manage them well. My God, you've got someone for life.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't find the questions.
They're all down the bottom. Like one above the launch date.
This one? Cindy says,
"Hey guys, questions.
Do you remember your first product you sold on Amazon, and when did you get your first VA?"
First product sold on Amazon, I believe, was like a letter tray from a wholesaler called Exertis Supplies. They do like IT equipment, but they have a stationery which is supplies. I think I made like 70p off it. That was it. Like it was shocking, but it was this is the whole thing about Amazon. I say to people, like when you're first starting, stop worrying about making money. Just prove the concept, because we have so many preconceived ideas of like, oh my God, is this a scam? Like just show the whole process. And if you make 10p, fantastic. Next time now you know how it works. Now go make more money.
The first sale is always the best. Like people are like, yeah. Like when they made the first sale on Udemy, like of a course, and it's like, yeah, but I've only made £5. Yeah, but you made £5. You made £5 once. Go do it 1,000 times. You just make £5,000. But if you can prove it once, you can do it again and again and again.
Exactly.
Would you say selling on Amazon changed your life, Tom?
Yeah, of course. My God, at a very fundamental level, I believe we're in a brand new age. I think Amazon's amazing because of the fulfillment model, but we're seeing more and more. Like eBay's coming up, we're going to see more and more. It's going to continue. There's going to be other marketplaces, and what are we going to see? We are going to see the rise of the micro business. I promise you that. 50 years ago or 20 years ago, the ability for someone to create a micro business like you can today just wasn't available. Right now, it's amazing. In the future, there's going to be a lot more.
What you think opportunity is going to increase for people like us to start business online or wherever?
Exactly, 100%, 100%.
What time frame would you say? So the next 5 years, you're definitely more positive as time goes on, are you? And then what time frame?
How much did Amazon grow last year? Do you know the percentage? I know it was COVID, but
I mean, it's exponential. I know when you look at the sales charts for Amazon, it literally is an exponential curve. It's not linear or whatever. It does this.
And question is, what percentage of those sales come from third-party sellers?
Last I knew, it was about 2/3. What is it? Do you know?
I think it's about 50-60%.
Yeah,
but,
something like that.
If you've got exponential growth, of which half of it is from third-party sellers, and you're like, don't get me wrong, a lot of that's going to be wholesale, a lot of that's going to be private label. Jungle Scout says roughly 10% of third-party sellers are OA. It's a very rough figure.
Yeah.
My God, that's an exponential growth rate of that. And you're like, that's just Amazon. There are companies now who are looking at what Amazon's doing, and they will beat them, and they will get better, and they will do the fulfillment model.
You think they'll beat? You think they'll beat?
Yeah, of course.
Who would you say? Because obviously,
I have no idea.
Okay, so you just in the future you expect it. eBay are hot on the heels, aren't they, with the eBay fulfillment thing?
Do you know an interesting one? In the US, Walmart, I think it's Walmart, third-party program sells more than eBay.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's like Amazon, Walmart, then eBay.
It's not as open though, is it? Walmart's not. You and me couldn't just rock up to Walmart and say, "Let me sell to Walmart." It's a bit of a hoop jumping thing, whereas eBay and Amazon just pretty much anyone can sell.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yes. So right now we're going off on tangent a little bit, but I've got to ask you because no. The next question I've got to ask you from a personal point of view. Have you heard of the Great Reset?
Great what?
Great Reset.
Reset.
The Great Reset, yeah.
What's the Great Reset? No,
okay. No, we'll save it for another time because that's a conversation on itself. It's just something that's happening in the world that most people aren't aware of, and those that are terrified, unless you're one of the people that are involved in it, which is very few people relative to the world's population. But the Great Reset. So it's interesting to see. I can tell you're a positive person anyway.
Of course,
yeah, ultra positive, and that's great in business, and I am in business too. But there are some clouds on the horizon that is interesting. That
always clouds on the horizon.
Yeah. But the Great Reset ones are real interesting. For example, the World Economic Forum that are behind the Great Reset. Their slogan, and bear in mind the world's elite, the world's rulers, the world's everyone's behind this. Their slogan is by 2030 you will own nothing and be happy. And they are the world's elite that are pushing this agenda for 2030, and that's their slogan. In 2030, you'll own nothing and be happy. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of capitalism. Basically, they are trying to crush what we know as the world as we know it. But anyway, so somebody put it there. Look, the Great Reset. You'll own nothing and still be happy. Apparently, yeah. But it's just interesting to you if you got any viewpoints on that, because short term, I'm positive on business, but if these tyrants get the way, then I don't know where it's going to go. But maybe that's again a conversation for another time.
I don't know, but if I put it another way, if the tyrants don't get the way and you haven't bothered between now and then.
Absolutely, and I and you could argue that the biggest thing you've got to combat what these tyrannical people are trying to bring in is by doing your best to have the means to fight it off. You don't want to be left with nothing when they're saying you'll own nothing and be happy. You want to have something, and be one of the haves, not the have-nots, I guess.
Go buy a Thai island or something. That'd be exciting.
Bob says, explain yourself, Matt, and where you're getting this from. You'll have to look into it, Bob, because we're running quite late on this one anyway. But look into the Great Reset. You're going to struggle to find stuff that's appropriate about it because a lot of it's getting censored. But look into the Great Reset. Maybe YouTube would be an okay place to start. Right, let's see if we can answer a couple more questions. What do you plan on doing when you next come back to UK? Do you have any business ideas or not, warehouse or not, or something?
I want to travel around the UK and meet some people, so I've made some connections already. But I'd probably only be back for a month. Definitely not getting a warehouse, not in a million years. Like, Matt said it, like he would like to go travel the world. Oh my God, I love freedom. Like, it's one of my core values. I love it. Like, I want to go to Colombia. Cool, get on a plane tomorrow. Done. Like, just being able to do that is so amazing. And a warehouse would be my idea of hell. And I'm not saying you shouldn't get a warehouse. Like, do it. A lot of people are very successful and they do a very good job with it. For me, it's just not what I'm interested in at all.
But you'd surely systemize it and staff it up, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't want to be fixed. Like, I can do all the systemization traveling the world right now. But to be fixed in the warehouse for 6 months, maybe a year, would be like, because I might meet someone, I might get married and have children. Like, I'd be like, damn, I wish I'd gone to Colombia. So, like, that's the thing.
Absolutely. Nike says, at what point in your business should you consider hiring a VA, and how much is it monthly?
I do it really simple. A VA is about $3 an hour, which is £380 per month. You need to understand how to analyze a deal or what you want from deals. If you've never sold anything, I wouldn't recommend doing that. You need to know what you're doing in your business, because how can you help someone else if you don't know what you're doing? And then the other thing, which I'd probably just say, is about minimum £4,000 available cash flow or cash. That might be credit cards, cash, for example, because you need to pay their wages. They're going to find you deals and then invest those deals and get the money back to pay their wages and make profit on top. So long story short is, if you've got the money, it works. A lot of people say, I wish I'd done it sooner, but just make sure you've got cash to invest. If you haven't got cash to invest, you're going to just lose money. So just be mindful. And hey, as much as we say, hopefully we do a good job, sometimes it doesn't work out. VAs do leave. It takes time. I promise you that. It's not perfect. It's not exact science.
Okay, so last question for tonight, because we're going to wrap it up. It's been a long one. How do you get on with a prep center? Is this a big influence in your business as you're remote?
So I have a prep center who I've had back in my procurement days, who pretty much only does me. They don't do anyone else, because we built the software that they use. And also because we've like 5x the volumes. And I basically said, do you think we could add another 50% on that? And they're like, okay, fine. But I get on with them really well. My whole team have phone calls with them. So like, my team will speak to the prep center on my behalf. They don't need to deal with me. We send them like hampers, Christmas hampers, when times are busy, to say thank you guys for the hard work. Your prep center are like, they're part of your family. You need to really like cuddle them and work with them. And hey, they're going to get it wrong at times, and that's fine. But like, my God, if anyone goes from like 50,000 to 200,000 revenue in a month, we're shifting £50,000 worth of goods a week into their prep center. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff, and it's about resolution, trying to solve it. So it's that's my.
Tom, I don't know if you want to reveal that, but what do you pay a unit?
I think it's not much, about 50p. So we're not like, we're not super cheap. Like some people are talking like 30p, 35p. And we do pay a little bit more for bundling and some other things. I'm not really sure on the exact pricing. Long story short is, you'd rather pay more and get great quality of service. And because the value of the goods you're dealing with is so much more than the prep fee.
Well, you couldn't get prepping done for 50p when I was using prep centers back in the day. Like, there was nobody doing 50p. So even 50p might sound expensive. I think that's great. That's great. I think that's a really good price. So what's minimum profit per unit do you source at then?
So we used to work on the whole model of 30% ROI, £3 profit. Now we do 20% ROI, and we'll probably go down to like £1 profit. So the way we kind of do the analysis isn't so much like individual product. It's like transaction costs for time. So if my purchasing manager finds this product has to buy it and it has to go from the purchasing manager to the warehouse to then the admin, whether it's 1 unit or 10 units, doesn't matter. It's still the same labor cost. But what we're looking at is when those 10 units sell in a typical month, how much profit will we make? So it's the total profit per item. So it could be £1 profit, that's £10 profit, fantastic. One item, £1, 10 items, £1, £10 profit, or one item, £10. Doesn't really matter. This is a numbers game. That's all we really look at. And we're constant. As much as I say as now, my God, tomorrow my ops manager might change that and be like, let's try something different. Like, cool, fine.
Nice, love it. Right. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for joining us tonight, and a massive thank you to you, Tom, for jumping on. It was late notice, last minute notice. It was last minute for me, so it's last minute for you as well. But I'm really glad you jumped on. It's been really good chatting with you, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed it too, and maybe got some tidbits from tonight. But has it been all right, Tom? Been
lovely. Sorry for getting my times wrong.
No, it's
thank you.
fine.
And interesting to also talk a lot about not Amazon, if that makes sense.
Did we talk about not Amazon a lot?
Probably like 1 hour non-Amazon life and business, and then. But I think it's really cool. It's about mindset and things, and I definitely agree.
I'm way more interested in you and your journey and what you do and stuff than I am about whether you bloody wrap a parcel up in a certain way and what sellotape you use or where you get your packaging from. And I'm sure these guys are too. But yeah, it's been a good one. I mean, we're getting some lovely comments. Bob says, nice one, guys.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Really interesting. Thank you. Mind blowing. Great off the wall chat. Different and enjoyed it. Cheers, gents. And it's Brian. Thanks, Matt and Tom. Only caught last 10 mins, but was great info. We'll watch replay. Thanks again. So getting some really nice comments. So thanks again, Tom. Thanks everybody for joining. And same time, same place next week, 7 p.m. UK time. Nat will be back. And I don't know if she's got a guest on or what, but it's always good content. I'll get some lovely comments. Tom's going to be huge. He already is, guys. He's like
I am getting a bit fat, honestly. It's all the tackers.
He's one of the most prominent influencers in the UK in this space right now, for sure, without a doubt. And only set to continue because his work ethic is fantastic. And he's one of the good guys. Bottom line, he's one of the good guys. There's a lot of dodgy characters in this space, but Tom's not one of them. He's one of the good ones. So great. Never mind the my box. Cindy says. Kevin says, great stuff, guys. Thank you. And I mean huge. With more ease.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thanks ever so much, Tom. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.